Well, hello there. Today I am talking about technology. I am talking about technology as a bit of a double header. One, I thought it might be interesting to kind of run through some of the equipment I use or started using and may start using in the future. And that would also double up as a way to test out how well each of these gadgets compare. So, to give you a little bit of background to me and the reason I started this channel, it just literally for fun. I'm not monetizing it. I didn't think about side hustle. It was just me and some fun ideas. I've been traveling for quite a long time and mainly taken photographs down the years. So the idea came to me, oh, perhaps I should sort of put those all together and maybe give some advice on all the places that I've traveled. Now, that's all well and good, but we're in the modern era, aren't we, where we need video. So my antiquated DSLR all seems a little bit embarrassing and behind the times. So I initially started up with just well, I've got a few things. My little Sony personal phone here. This was like 1080p. This is what I'm most of my filming on. I also have an iPhone that I've not been using, mainly because of the constraints of 4K. The memory sizes and all that, and also because I've not been particularly concerned with like getting some massive following. Although it would be nice if you like and subscribe, it was more so just the fun and the experiment of videoing. However, seeing some stuff now, it's clearly getting a lot more competitive, and I'm seeing how substandard my slightly antiquated tech is. So first and foremost, I'm talking to you on my Surface laptop, which is quite new actually. But I can't believe the webcam is so goddamn awful. It's 720p, and sort of looking back, it's not so bad when you watch something on a small screen, but anything on those big screen, it's pretty grainy. So I have invested in this Logitech MX Miro, whatever it's called, someone will tell me. And let's compare how I look on this with my pathetic laptop camera. And here is the Logitech MX Brio. This is the 90-degree angle, so a little bit wider and hopefully I think a lot more vibrant. I'm considerably smoother. I can see more of my wrinkles and my stubble, which I deliberately have to bring out the high definition 4K quality. A little bit more vibrancy in these colors. So let's try a tighter angle. We are now at the 78-degree point of view, slightly more closer. I can see my microphone and all the other sort of gadgets a little bit tighter. No bookcase or slight bookcase. Um, Pretty good picture, I think. Pretty good. Let's try the next one. Here we are, the tightest angle of all 65 degrees. I think this is okay. I'm not sure yet. All pretty good in terms of tracking. The one thing I do find about this one, though, is even if it's quite wedged to the laptop, I don't have particularly good desk, so it can wobble a little bit if I bang it. Uh, mm, as I mute myself and compare the two side by side, you will see there's a fair bit of difference in the color palette, the angle, and the definition on my face. I think the smoothness of the 4K is superior, so I might stick with this one going forwards. Well, I will do because I spent a fair bit of money on it. I'm going to settle for the 78 degrees. I think that's a decent amount of background, not too close on my slightly haggard old face. So there we go. So I'm going to say my webcam is going to be better than the Surface. We now have to check out my 1080p phone, which I've been using mostly. I'm then going to try this, and you can sort of see those cameras slightly shaking as I peek things up. And I have used a bit of my Nikon. This is my D7500. It does have 4K at 30 frames per second, I think it is. It's quite old now, and I've tried to do a bit of shooting. I've thus far only done it in 1080p. So let's check out how these gadgets stack up and what one I will be using in the future. And here is my 1080p Sony. This is the one I have been using mainly for size and space limitations when it comes to my computer storage, because obviously 4K files are massive. But yeah, so let's see how they stack up. And this is my Nikon D7500 DSLR. This as a DSLR camera is very different because obviously you have the lenses rather than the one lens. You can change the lenses around. This is 60, this is a 4K 60, 4K 30 frames per second. Hiya, and this is the iPhone. So I'm just going to put my hand up here, and this is 4K actually, isn't it? It's 4K, 60 frames per second. So let's see. Hopefully that's going to be considerably better than my Sony. I'm going to have to go upstairs and check. Now, this is an interesting lineup. The 1080p versus the 4K 60p, I think, is pretty simple. Obviously the better technology wins, so that's straightforward. The 1080p, I think, would be functional, but if you do want to look slightly semi-professional, or at least better than Joe Schmo off the street, then you need to go for 4K. The DSLR is interesting. I think because it's set up very differently, and with the lenses, I don't think I use it for proper filming because I need a bloody big and expensive gimbal, likely. But also the 60p makes it much smoother. However, I do think it probably does have a place somewhere. Certainly when it comes to non-moving shots or close-ups or specialist photography and videoing, because as you can see from these shots of Cancun, it's very difficult to keep that lens straight, as I said, without an expensive piece of kit. So let's try and do something different. Let's see what it's like when we're doing it as a static shot. Yeah, that is not too bad at all. I think I'm quite happy with that. Let's try and get into the frame and see if it can take a close up of her face. Not quite, but definitely an option for static shots. I also opted to go out and about and do a few comparison shots, so I will run these through the screen right now. Now, I'm not trying to bombard you with loads of images and visuals, so I'll keep it quite simple. But I did a selection of filming indoors, outdoors, daytime, nighttime, to give you a kind of good indication of the range, because I think each camera kind of does things better depending on the situation. The 1080p is okay, it's a good workhorse if you are just after some B roll footage that isn't necessarily in need of being spectacular. It's a good option. The Nikon DSLR is probably something for a bit more specialized because whilst you can do, for example, really good close ups and really good sort of depth of field and use it that way, the fact that it is next to impossible to actually pan or move it without proper equipment makes everything juddery and shaky, even with a judder reduction option on the camera. So I would say that is best if you are only using a tripod or perhaps a professional gimbal, but obviously professional gimbal is going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of pounds. The iPhone, so the 60 frames per second full HD is clearly the best. The fact it is so much more forgiving in terms of panning, I can almost get away with it without a gimbal, but I have got a gimbal because whilst panning, things like walking and sort of, I say jumping up and down, but moving around and that stuff, it can make it a little bit harder to control. But anyway, you'll see the different options there, and you can probably get away with the 1080p. You can also get away with the iPhone, but something like if you've got the DSLR anyway, then it's worth playing around with and having for those sort of special shots that you need. Anyway, I'll just let the rest of the film play out. but I think 4K obviously is considerably better. Um, I think I'll probably still do a bit of a mixture of different formats. Ideally, obviously, in a perfect world, I'd have enough storage space to do a 4K video each and every time. But I think I have to be a little bit selective. I don't think, for example, you need to do a massive 4K video for Whirl in Western Supermo, which is a video upcoming. So stay tuned for that. Most of you have no idea what that means. Anyway, thanks for that. The main thing has been that this has been a great experience for me to have a look between those technologies, and I will hopefully be able to utilize them and make my videos a little bit sexier. Okay, bye.